Tonight, in an Action News exclusive, one of Jerry Sandusky's victims is breaking his silence, speaking for the first time only with investigative reporter Wendy Saltzman. Victim number 10 settled his case with Penn State today and sat down for a candid interview with Wendy to speak about years of abuse he suffered at the hands of one Jerry Sandusky.
Well, Jim, victim number 10 says the abuse started back in 1997 when he was just 11 years old and spanned 3 years. He's one of 26 victims settling with the university and only the second victim from the criminal trial to speak publicly, giving us an exclusive inside story about being targeted, molested, and his final words for Jerry Sandusky.
Jerry Sandusky took an instant liking to me. He took me to my first football game. I got to meet a lot of the players at the time. You know, I felt like I had another family that cared for me, you know.
The relationship between Jerry Sandusky and victim number 10 started in 1997. The then 11-year-old who came from a broken home was referred to the Second Mile, Sandusky's charity, where a grand jury said he found his victims.
He was very careful with what he did. He plotted it out.
Within a couple of months of meeting the football superstar, victim 10 says the man he thought of as a father figure who had showered him with gifts, clothing, and money started molesting him. Where did your abuse occur?
It occurred several places. It occurred on Penn State campus. It occurred at Jerry's home, in his car, in public. Anywhere that he was safe to do that was where he took advantage of me.
The victim says Sandusky sexually abused and molested him dozens of times over the next 3 years until he decided to break free from Sandusky's stronghold.
He wanted me to, you know, perform sexual acts on him, and I refused to do it. And he turned into a totally different person. He got very angry, and that's when he threatened me. And then he turned around like nothing ever happened and said that, you know, I'm sorry I said that. You know, I love you.
According to victim 10, Sandusky threatened him he would never see his family again if he told anyone what happened.
I was afraid, terrified, you know. How could you stand up to somebody that's supposed to be an icon in the community, especially when you're a child?
And Jerry took advantage of that in a very confusing time for him, manipulated him into doing unspeakable acts. For 3 years, this young man suffered horrific abuse.
Joel Feller is victim 10's attorney and represents a total of 7 of Sandusky's victims. These
young men are living not only with the fact that they were abused horrifically over a significant period of time by a monster, but they live with the fact that Penn State failed to act, failed to protect them when they needed it the most.
Victim 10 testified against Sandusky at his criminal trial. The man he once idolized was convicted of 45 criminal counts of sexual abuse, including those against victim 10.
His sentence to me is part of closure. I can sit back and know that he'll never be able to do this to another person.
The quiet 26-year-old who spent 13 years in silence is now pulling the pieces of his life together. The silence now is for Sandusky. Are there things that you would say to him now?
No, I would have nothing to say to his face. He knows what he did. He knows it was wrong. So why do I have to sit there and tell him that when he already knows it?
We reached out to Penn State today for a comment, and they sent us a statement saying the university continues to make progress on multiple settlements, but we do not have a comment at this time. Penn State has set aside $60 million to settle cases with 25 of the 31 young men who say Sandusky abused them. The amounts of each of those payouts is being kept confidential. And Jim, Jerry Sandusky, even to this point, has maintained his innocence, and he is appealing those criminal charges.
I hope you're not uncomfortable with me asking about your professional process, but how did you get victim number 10 to open up to you?
I think it was time at this point, once Penn State had agreed to settle with these young men. And basically, you know, as we said, 25 of 31 of them are in the process of settling, but he's only the second one who was part of the criminal trial to talk. I think it's very difficult for these people to discuss what happened to them. But after much persistence, we're glad he came forward, and he wanted to tell other people it's okay. It's okay to come forward and to help other kids know that they could step up and speak out.
Interesting work. Thank you, Wendy.